Interesting take. She's saying that if you must work for EBT, you'll get the slave experience.
People gonna get real mad when they realize that they waking up to what slaves woke up to. You ain't pulled your weight in the field today. You might not get no food. Oh, you didn't pull your quota? Let me go ahead and take that house. You got a baby that's hungry, a roof that's leaking, and your boss ain't giving a damn about your familial issues or your mental health.
Let's pause right there. Since when are you entitled to all those things? Is it about slavery or is it about being a functional adult in society? You're not entitled to all those things. You got to go out there and work. You have a home, you got children, you got to feed them, you got to take care of them. It's your responsibility, not somebody else's. If you made the kids, you got to feed the kids. What they say, if you can't feed them, don't breed them. How is it the government's responsibility? And the government is not even saying you can't have those things. The government says if you want benefits from us, if you want all these things, you got to put in some work. 20 hours a week.
Here's the thing. I mean, he already addressed all the key points. And I really don't even like to have to address just things that are just so obviously inaccurate and just silly. I try not to address silliness, but for the sake of the video, we'll address it. Listen, to compare government assistance to slavery is wild. You have a choice whether or not you want to even enroll in the benefits. And most people who actually take pride and they take a certain level of personal responsibility wouldn't even enroll in it, even if they were getting close to where they did need some help. They would still try to figure it out. Now, if you have to rely on it for a time, that's cool. But it's free money. And with free money, you have to understand that that does come with some sort of regulation, as it should. Because it's not free. It's been paid into by taxpaying citizens. So there has to be some sort of regulation. And if you don't like it, if you don't feel like it's fair, then you can just completely opt out. And I feel like that's truly what freedom is, because then you have the option to choose sovereignty and say that you don't want to participate whatsoever. So you do have the sovereignty to not even participate, whereas slavery is obviously being forced into something. So that's why I said it's silly to begin with. And he touched on everything. And ultimately, what he's saying is you chose these responsibilities to take on. You're starting to push it off on us as if we're inconsiderate for choices and decisions that you decided to make and that you ultimately felt that you were ready for, because we live in the modern century. You don't have kids if you don't want to have kids. And this goes beyond the choice thing. This really comes down to there are so many forms of contraception as well. So there really is no excuse today, in my opinion. Before we get into the next clip, if you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it does help me out tremendously. Let's get back into it.
Let's see, I never seen them put a whole apartment complex out. They didn't put a whole apartment complex out. See, I'm the only one living in this bitch. Matter of fact, come to think about it.
Exaggeration. He's not the only one there. What we can try to assume is that 2-year rule went ahead and blipped a lot of people at once. A lot of people at once, right? Because there were people on the program for so long, decades, even just years. And once that 2-year rule goes into effect, if you've already been on it longer than 2 years, you automatically become unqualified unless you're elderly or disabled, or unless you are an exception. So I would assume that's probably what happened in this situation. And I'm sure it's happening all over America, to be honest.
In my life, have I ever seen this before, going through this situation? The way men, women, just people in general try to take advantage of you while they think you're down and out. Granted, you are homeless and you are in the best situation financially, but you aren't mentally poor just because your pockets are. And a lot of people in this situation think that you are so easy just an easy target for somebody to play, for somebody to take advantage of. And I have seen so many people try to play their best hand and end up in the worst situations. It's quite funny actually, because you get to see people's true nature. You get to study people. You get to really understand yourself. You really get to see how things really become a game dealing with certain people, and when to let your guard down, when to put your guard up. Like, you just sharpen your skills in general. But taking people for a fool because they're at their lowest,
So she's being cryptic right now. I mean, if you're going to come online and you're going to go ahead and just ultimately allude to something, just just go ahead and just come out with it. You know, why are we subtweeting on TikTok when we're already telling information that nobody asked for? So let's try to peel this back and really understand what she's saying here, right? Ultimately, she's in a vulnerable situation position to where she's having to go to others ultimately and extract. That's what I'm taking away from what she's saying. She's having to extract from others in order to be able to take care of herself and sustain her situation ultimately. But see, what we don't think about a lot of times in these cases is, well, what are you reciprocating? That's what it seems like. It seems like she's saying people are wanting something for helping, or whatever the case, whatever that could mean, because she's being cryptic. Ultimately, it's just best if you take responsibility for yourself so that you don't have to put yourself in that situation. But what we oftentimes see a lot of times is people who, when everything comes crashing down, they're so self-centered in that they just feel like everybody's supposed to just do something for them for nothing. We see it because people will literally come online and just ask strangers to donate. They call it TikTok begging, TikTok beggars. And a lot of times they're not even transparent about how they ended up in that situation, but they'll ask you to be transparent by giving out of your pocket. Just like she's not being transparent about what she's even talking about. Ultimately, I want to see how you reciprocate. I want to see when you just give and you don't expect nothing. If you can't come and show that you do that, then it's really a good practice not to ever want something of someone else without giving something in return, whatever that could be. And she's being cryptic, in my opinion, and that could be a lot of things. That could be humbling yourself. Let me wash your car. Let me detail the interior of your car. Let me cook you a meal. There's a million ways that you can do this, but I feel like when I feel like we've gotten entitled to the point to where when we need something and we need something of other people, but they ask something in return, then all of a sudden they're bad people.
I don't think women that live in a Section 8 and receiving government assistance, I don't think they should be able to have kids. Because as long as they live in a Section 8 and receiving government assistance, they ain't gonna never get off their ass and do something with their life. Because they being hand-fed, sitting on their ass. So why should you be allowed to have kids living in a Section 8 and receiving government assistance? I think that's unfair to the people that pay taxes out their check every payday. To give our money to a female that don't want to do shit with her life, keep having baby after baby, for she can stay living in a Section 8 and receive government assistance. So if you're receiving government assistance and you live in a Section 8, you should not be allowed to have kids.
And I said it how I said it. But I would definitely say there should be some form of accountability to where when you're receiving benefits and you've already, because how I take having to apply for government assistance or for benefits, I take that and I interpret that as you've hit rock bottom. Ultimately, you've hit rock bottom and it's gotten to the point to where you had to get saved. Imagine if you're in a video game and you ever been playing a video game and you didn't even know you had like acquired an extra life somewhere, so you thought you just died and it was game over. but then you like respawn with an extra life. You're like, whoa, I didn't even know I had an extra life. But you grateful you had it, and you keep playing, and you make sure you be careful. I think that that's how we need to start looking at government assistance. Like, you just got an extra life that if you were in any other country in the world, you wouldn't have got that. You would have been under a bridge. So I think there should be some form of accountability, i.e., some form of commitment to where you do have to say, I am not going to make this situation worse than what it is now, because I've just hit rock bottom. And for a regular person, a reasonable minded person, hitting rock bottom is supposed to become the wake up call to where you don't make your situation worse. But because this country is so great, and because now the perks that you get for being a citizen of this country have started to people have felt entitled to them, as we see time and time again when people come on here, you will have somebody who's been abusing the system for decades, who, when finally now something comes down to regulate it, will be on here acting a fool like, oh, you can't do that. So if you're saying that something that was a nice to have but wasn't necessarily, you're not entitled to it, if you're saying that you feel entitled to that, then that lets you know that you actually didn't appreciate that. So we don't even appreciate it, and it shows, because people will get in these situations and they'll continue to dig their situation deeper. So you feel entitled to something you don't even appreciate, and it's all coming off the expense of the people who actually are making the good decisions. Because without us, if everybody just decided to just do whatever they wanted, then it definitely wouldn't be any room for anybody on it. So obviously somebody's funding it, and it's the people who aren't making the bad decisions, but we're still being taxed for it while you get to continue to stack on more. So I think
Trump is supposedly changing the requirements to qualify for EBT, Section 8, and welfare. So if you are on these things or trying to get on these things, Trump is requiring you to work at least 30 hours a week to maintain or qualify for these assistances. This is one of those changes that he's making that I don't think I'm upset with, because a lot of people use these assistances as crutches. Yep. Because they know that they can rely on this and don't have to do anything or do the bare minimum. So he's kind of pulling that crutch away from them and taking that dependency away from them. So I feel like food stamps should be mandatory for mothers that have one or more child. Stay with me now. If we are qualified to receive a certain amount of money during tax time, as long as we don't go over that income bracket, we should qualify for food stamps every month for these children. I have 2 boys. Food hate to see them coming. When I say I stay in Walmart need to go ahead and sponsor me, because I be up in there every other day. I just made groceries a few days ago. I had to go back to the store today. So all I'm saying is, if we are entitled to claim our children on our income taxes every year so we can receive a little bit of extra money, I need the government to have that same energy, and I need them to give us at least a...
so. I mean, her caption pretty much says it all. Food stamps should be mandatory for mothers, at least $100 a month per child. Listen, what's the only thing that separates a mother from someone who's not a mother? The only thing that separates you is you decided to have kids. Maybe that other person who's not a mother, maybe they want kids, but maybe they understand that they can't afford to have them if they need a handout in order to help to pay for the groceries to be able to sustain the kids, and they can't do it on their own. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Ma'am, if you decide to have kids, I don't care if it's 1, I don't care if it's 2, I don't care if it's 8. That was a decision that you decided to make. So it shouldn't have to be something that has to that you're supposed to be getting help with in order to take care of them. That is your job to take care of them because you decided to have them. Is that simple? Is that cut and dry? And if we kept things that simple, then things wouldn't be getting this complex, and people wouldn't be feeling entitled to things that they really have no business feeling entitled to. So we'll leave it there. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. It only takes a second. Also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers where it helps smaller content creators like myself And basically, the more you hype, the more it actually pushes smaller content creators to the same scale it pushes the larger content creators. And since I am a smaller content creator, it actually gives us more points. So that is a perk that we have for that feature. And then also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.